So this is the area that I discovered this afternoon when I was out roving around on my ATV on the property, and I saw what looked like a trail, and up I went, and I found this amazing little open area. This is all granite, the red rock as they call it up here, or Cambrian shield or Canadian shield. But this is probably the most stable piece of rock on the planet. It is absolutely massive, and it is foundational. This was when the earth was forming that all of this rock got pushed up. What an unbelievably tranquil little spot. There is no Wi-Fi up here, so it is completely clean. And this particular granite is what they call quartz granite, so there are seams of quartz running through the granite. So there is quite an interesting energy taking place on this rock. It's a great meditation spot. And so I can see that I'm going to be making quite a few videos from this location, and I'm probably going to be camping here at some point in amongst the maples and the cedars and the balsams and the tamaracks and the Scotch pines and the white pines and the aspen and the silver birch. See, that look is so quintessentially Canadian. Got some clouds rolling in, got a couple of days of rain, and of course Jasmine just loves it up here. Anyway, on with my little rant. Well, good afternoon, this is Houndog wishing you a very pleasant afternoon. And, well, here we are. I'm going to do a little bit of a catch-up and, yeah, a bit of a sort of a look into what is going on around the world in a sort of big picture kind of way. And because, you know, what I'm noticing, I don't know if you're finding the same thing, you know, during the episode of 2020 to 2024, where we were all kind of locked down and masked and goodness knows what else, a lot of freedom groups started up. They were absolutely hot to trot, and they were filled with the idea of, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of identity, and so on and so forth. And of course, you know, we've had a period of, shall I say, normalcy. Certainly, it has been free of a lot of that kind of discussion, and so a lot of the idea of, you know, issues coming out of the last 3 years, like inflation, like supply shortages, the damage done to families, the separation, the small businesses that have been taken out of the supply chain. Wow, you know, a lot has happened. And I think, you know, one of the things I find interesting, I was having a chat with a friend of mine the other day, and you know, he was talking to his mum, who is quite a bit older, and you know, she was saying, well, you know, you keep saying this stuff and it never comes true and nothing ever happens and so on and so forth, blah blah blah. And but you know, when you look at the changes that have taken place in the last 4 years, it is absolutely staggering. We have gone from not even thinking about censorship or misinformation or disinformation, and now it is flooding the airwaves. In fact, the news cycle has become so fast, it is unbelievable, the turnover. I mean, it's like every other day there is something extraordinary happening, whether it's attempted assassinations or you know, a senility in the leader of the free world, all of the stuff that's going on in the UK, in the EU. I mean, it is just unbelievable. The Ukraine, the Middle East, tensions are so unbelievably high at this point. And so much of this seems to have come on since 2020. I mean, there were always tensions, there's no doubt about it, but there was a kind of, you know, quasi-balance that was being maintained, and so nothing really got out of hand, and most of the supply chains were working fairly efficiently, if not well, they were certainly working economically efficiently, even if they were making a big mess and lots of pollution and goodness knows what else that comes along with high production and just-in-time servicing. But, you know, we certainly weren't in the situation that we're in now. And so what I am thinking is, you know, it's my old prediction is that we are heading into what I call the 1984 scenario, and we will be seeing just an increase in these sort of minor, semi-major attritional wars that are just going to go on forever. They really won't reach, no side will win, no side will lose. There'll be rhetoric from everywhere you can think of. And yeah, it is just going to be a grinding drain on resources. It means that the public will be put into austerity. I think that you're going to see, certainly, I mean, in America, it is unbelievable. People are being absolutely driven against each other. There is a visceral hatred from every single group towards the other group, whoever the other group is, and there is no wiggle room, there is no give, there is no mechanism in place where you can sort of go, okay, let's just draw the line there and we're good to go, all right? You know, you stay that side of the line, I'll stay this side of the line, but all of that has been blurred, and there seems to be no way to reconcile at any level with any group of people. There is no idea of compromise, and so yes, this is leading to a very difficult situation. Much of what I think we're seeing is a distraction. The media is blowing it up. Mind you, it's hard to blow it out of proportion, some of this stuff, but you know, one of the things that I think that we lose as the general public is the importance of incremental growth. And so whilst all of this stuff is going on around us as a distraction, valid or not, there is all kinds of stuff. Bills are being pushed into Parliament and so on and so forth. Censorship is being pushed forward. You know, I had a funny thing happen the other day. I was in the vehicle licensing office, and but by the way, my motorhome completely passed its safety. I was going in to get the registration done, so I'm all legal and I am ready to rock and roll as soon as I get all of the top deck checked out and make sure that is up and functioning. And so yeah, that will be very, very nice. And as I'm waiting in line, you know, there was a few people behind me, and I noticed on the wall that there was a sign that said, due to privacy reasons, you will not be allowed to use video, audio, or any other kind of recording device in this building. And then I look up, and there is a camera pointing at me, for security reasons. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You know, you have a camera to look at me, and I don't have a privacy issue, but you see me as a security risk. I mean, and then you put up this sign saying that I can't do the same. Anyway, I was gonna ask the girls, like, please show me the law where that says that is okay, because I think they just made it up. I think they just made it up, photocopied it off and stuck it on the wall, and most people don't question it. But it is these little incremental losses of freedom that we don't question. The censorship that's taking place on Facebook, on YouTube, the sort of things that are going on in the UK. I mean, you can go to prison for making a Facebook post, for goodness sake, if it's something that the government doesn't agree with, or, I mean, like, you're not allowed to have an opinion anymore unless it falls in line with the ruling body. And so, like I say, these little snips are being taken, and whilst we're all arguing with each other about whether the earth is flat or round, or, you know, whether the chemtrails are a real issue or not, or whether whatever. I mean, I'm seeing these separations taking place in these groups over minor issues. These things can be discussed at a later date. But whilst we're all doing this, all this squabbling, all of this stuff is being put into place. And as I say, as we drift into the 1984 scenario, austerity is going to make people do desperate things, and that will justify even more of the jackboot approach to the police. They're probably bringing in the military, and there you go. We will slip into that situation, because I can tell you that from my reasoning, now this is just my opinion, what is absolutely paramount now, that like the agenda has basically come to a tipping point. Yeah, that is the WEF and the ruling elite. Okay, to move into the next phase, they have to have a sizable, like a majority of people who have uptake the digital ID and the central bank digital currency. And so everything that we're seeing is going to be either to leverage you, to get you to go voluntarily as you chase that carrot, or to literally force you, strong arm you into accepting a digital ID and a central bank digital currency. And of course, once you do, well, it's like a roach motel, right? You can get in, but you can't get out. Once you're signed up, even if you think, oh well, I still got some cash stashed away at home or whatever it is, so I'll go half and half. It won't work like that. Okay, so, and this is what this is all about for me, is preparing for that moment when I have to refuse to accept a digital ID and a central bank digital currency, and basically walk off into the wilderness. Because that's what they'll make you do. There will be no transactions allowed for anybody who doesn't have a digital ID and won't use the central bank digital currency. Now, I don't know how long that'll last, but other countries have been rejecting this wholesale. It's been a very, very difficult uptake, but that is what all this is geared towards. So everything that you see, all of the confusion, all of the chaos, all of the upset is to basically get you to co-opt you into signing up for a digital ID and a central bank digital currency. And we can clearly see too that the one thing that the ruling powers, or the powers that shouldn't be, are absolutely scared to death of, is us communicating with each other. And that's why the censorship is there. Okay, so that's what we need to do, is to speak out loud, even if it's one at a time. Even if it's one at a time, exponential growth. And I found you can be a lot more convincing when it's face-to-face, one-on-one, and you have a few things in your pocket that you can show people, some information and so on and so forth, or some really good reasoned arguments about what is happening. Wow, you can really change people's minds. It's way more effective than Facebook or YouTube or anything like that. It really is that one-on-one, and if you can do that to two people, and they each tell two people, and so on and so forth, just like the shampoo commercial, well, next thing you know, what's that? We're only 100 people away from the Prime Minister in today's world of social media and communication. So speak up. Don't let your voice be lowered out of fear, because the way things are going, it's already too late to worry about it. They've already got your social media, they've already got your Facebook posts from 10 years ago. They will drop a bag of crack or coke or whatever the hell it is in your accommodation or your car, and you'll be done. So there you go. So there's no point in worrying about it. If they're going to get you, they're going to get you, and it's as simple as that. So you might as well speak up now. Jordan Peterson says this very, very clearly. When you're having an issue, the time to speak up is early. The earlier the better. Let's put it this way. The longer you leave it, it never gets any better to speak up and have your voice heard, especially when it's a voice of rationality. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything other than common sense. Like, hey, let's take a look at this. Maybe we should set some of our differences aside and focus on the real issue here. So that is basically what my ambition is going forward. And because I've got the motorhome, I am now completely mobile, which is nice. I mean, who knows what's coming down the track? I have no idea. I know what they're trying to get us to do, but the actual path, I don't think there is one path. I think there's many paths, and as I said before, the wild card is the weather. We may be forced with a move, unfortunately. Anyway, I like the idea of being able to stay where I am if I want to, or I can move if I want to, and my home is already packed up and going with me and living that tiny footprint that I have been wanting to. You know, I mean, I could move to places if I want to that are a little warmer, so I don't need to spend all that money on heating. And, you know, because the bus has an onboard generator, diesel generator, I think I mentioned it's a diesel engine as well, that is a diesel pusher, but it is fully independent. And so, say for example, the grid goes down. You know, you need a buffer. I mean, we are getting prepared as much as we can for that moment, but you know, when the lights go out, that is when the real test comes, and I sure would like to have a couple of generators around and some gas and some diesel to be able to buffer that a little bit until we get the routine of what it's going to look like. Anyway, it will be interesting to see how this unfolds, especially as we get closer and closer to the US election. I mean, that is going to be an absolute stunner. Whether that's actually going to happen or not, whether the attempts that have been made previously, there'll be a successful attempt. Well, whatever it is, they're scared to death of this man. Wow, they really are shaken in their boots. So, we shall see, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, thank you once again for joining me in this very sacred little spot at the bottom end of the property that I'm now residing. And I hope some of that good energy wafted over the airways and into your living room or your phone or wherever you happen to be enjoying my little rant. Okie dokie, well in the meantime, this is Houndog Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant afternoon, and we'll talk very, very shortly. Okay, see you now. Bye.